Okay, so today I thought we'd talk about the Metal Gear Solid series. Probably second best, second for me behind, probably just behind Resident Evil. So we'll go through a couple of the games, and the main thing I wanted to sort of talk about and debate, I guess you could say, would be which game is better: Metal Gear Solid One on the PlayStation One, or Metal Gear Solid Twin Snakes on the Gamecube. Both games are very, very similar and also very, very different at the same time. Similar mechanics, but a lot of graphical differences. And I've got Metal Gear Solid 1 playing on the Switch in the background. So we'll go through the games I have for Metal Gear. This one I picked up a while back. I've shown it off before. It's not actually a game I'm that enamored with and that keen on, but it came across. It was on PS3, I think, once on the PSN Plus service, and I didn't get on with it at all. But it is one that's starting to. No, I wouldn't say it's becoming rare, but it's one of those that's not that well known. Obviously, it stars Raiden, so so it's an interesting one nonetheless. And one day I will actually play through it. I believe it's backwards compatible with Xbox One and Xbox Series X and Series X mainly. The possibly the black sheep of the family. Not the best copy. It's a platinum copy. I really, really want a black label copy at some point, but I'm assuming this is going to come on the Legacy Collection. Metal Gear Solid Legacy Collection 2.0 as such when that comes out, or Volume 2. Sorry. Metal Gear Solid 4 it's a really mixed bag of a game. The bit where you go back to Shadow Moses is awesome, and it has all the Granger Games in the UK. It has all like the PS1 graphics and stuff. But bits of Metal Gear Solid 4 are really, really good. The bits of it are very, very weird. It's a game that's been trapped on the PS3 ever since it came out back in 2008, I think it was. It's one I would implore people to check out for themselves. Takes a while to install on PS3. So hopefully that will come to more modern platforms. And I believe, although I'm not 100% sure, it could have new trophies, possibly as well. So, yeah. Okay, next is the Metal Gear Solid Legacy Collection. Now, this is a US-based collection. M for mature. This one is going up there in price. I think this is about £38-40 upwards now, maybe more. This has everything on it, Metal Gear Solid or Metal Gear, although it has a download code for Metal Gear Solid 1, the PlayStation 1 version, but this code was well expired at this point. But as you can see, it has pretty much all the games on it, and obviously these would be the HD editions of the game. So, but as far as I'm aware, PS3 is region free. So it's a good collection to pick up if you enjoy PS3. PS3 is, I'd say, probably PlayStation's weakest system they've ever made. But it's also a pain in the ass to record from and capture footage for because of the DCHP copyright protection, which is an absolute nightmare to contend with. You can get around it, but it's not easy. Using a splitter and stuff, but yeah, so this comes with every game barring Metal Gear Solid 1. But it's a really good collection. If you still got a working PS3, or I suppose the best one would be to get is the Slim or the Super Slim. But definitely a really good collection to pick up, and yeah. So I sort of double dipped, or at this point probably quadruple dripped. Sorry, not dripped. This has had really mixed reviews. Legacy Collection on PS5. I've been wanting this for a while because obviously I've just started playing through. Don't see my good mug. If it ever comes back on again. There we go. It's basically it got mixed reviews when it came out. There was a lot of issues with the game and stuff. But I haven't noticed any issues with it so far. But I mean, 2 years out, or a year and a half, 2 years out from its release now. So they've done a lot of patching, and it could have been better, but it's, you know, it's not terrible. It's a shame about no manuals. I hate that. I miss manuals. I understand, I suppose, from an environmental standpoint, but still, you know, manuals are awesome. They really are good. I've just started Metal Gear Solid 1, and you can apply filters to make the game look at the text look a bit better. But it's still a challenging game, the original Metal Gear Solid 1. And that's kind of where we get onto the debate about which is better, original or the remake Twin Snakes. And there's still rumours about whether there's going to be a remake of Metal Gear Solid 1 again. Kind of like the same situation with Resident Evil 1 and 0. But I've got Snake here on, and I'm just wondering whether or not to wait for the remake of that in, I think it's August. So they're clearly working on, it looks good, but whether I can hold out for that long, I really don't know. So let's get on to the main debate. But this was £39 on Amazon, so not too badly priced for the amount of games you get on there. Plus you also do get the Metal Gear and Metal Gear 2, and is it Metal Gear Snake's Revenge, which I think is like a non-canon NES game, as far as I'm aware. So yeah, so okay, let's get on to the main debate. Excuse me. Twin Snakes. Whether this is a PAL copy, whether it's PAL US, I can't speak for the Japanese version. This is an expensive game. You're talking 60 to 100 quid for this game now. When I got mine, it was £69, I believe, on eBay. This is an interesting game, and I'm kind of stuck in the middle between the two, because between the two, now this is the platinum version of the original Metal Gear Solid. It's in quite good condition. I kind of wanted the black label version, but you know, beggars can't be choosers, and it's, as I said before, it's in pretty immaculate condition. The discs, really good condition. I only paid about, I think it was about 20-30 quid for this. And the manual, as I said before, the manual's minty. Really minty. Adore it. The only game I'm actually lacking is Peace Walker, which I've got digitally on PS3, and oh god, what was the other one? VR Missions. We're saying that though, VR Missions is on the Legacy Collection. On PS1 it came as a separate game, but I never played that much of the VR Missions on the original Metal Gear Solid. It was just more about the campaign and the story, because Metal Gear Solid story is just mad. So, between these two games, I would say more people prefer that to that. And I mean, my answer is going to be, I guess, kind of boring, but I would probably say that is probably not the better game, the more iconic game between the two. Now, the music is, I think, slightly different between the two versions. Twin Snakes, they've changed some of the dialogue. They've added in like Snake's more acrobatic. He does a lot of ninja type acrobatic moves when he's like, I think he dodges a missile by flipping over it or some ridiculous stuff. Definitely a lot more sort of style with that version. Obviously, graphically, you know, this Twin Snakes is gonna look a lot better, and it's based on the Metal Gear Solid 2 engine, which is the Sons of Liberty, I believe, and I'm assuming also Snake Eater as well. Which, if I can find it. Here's a copy I got on PS2 with that auction lot I got. So as far as I'm aware, Twin Snakes runs on the engine of this. Now I don't have Snake Eater on original PS2 as of yet. It's a pretty cheap game. The version on these that is expensive is this one not so much, but Subsistence for Snake Eater is actually quite expensive. But what I love about And has it got the DVD? It does. What I love about both games is obviously the stealth aspects. It's, to me, Metal Gear is still the best stealth probably out there. Splinter Cell probably comes in a second for me in some regards from what I've played of it. But again, like I said with the Resident Evil 4 thing, that is the... If it wasn't so expensive, I would say that would be the best way to play it in terms of accessibility, because that version is... the original version is a lot... I would say is a harder game just because of the way the controls are. It's a top-down sort of perspective on Snake. And I say the stealth mechanics are a little bit more primitive in some regards, in comparison to the original version. But the thing is, like, Twin Snakes, because it's like Metal Gear Solid 2, like, you get like a trank pistol. So it's a lot more, you know, you can actually play with a more stealth sort of mindset where you can trank guards and then move them out of the way. And I don't know if it's probably easier. But again, it's like 80, 60 to 100, between 60 and upwards, probably nearing the £100 mark game at this point. So it's not that accessible. Now, if that comes out on the Legacy Collection Volume 2, now I don't know if it will, because there might be some legality issues with... oh, my battery's low, great. With Nintendo. And... but I guess, you know, I guess we'll see. I hope they can get that, because that's the version people need to experience. I really do think. But that's more iconic in terms of the music, the soundtrack. The bosses are very, very similar. Well, in terms of they are the same, but obviously because it's running on like a Metal Gear Solid 2 engine, it's probably easier. You can direct weapons a lot easier, missiles, chaff grenades. They're both fantastic versions of the game. It's just that version, just the music is... I think there are some differences with the music, and it's the original, so I guess a nostalgia plays a point with it. But I mean, I really hope Metal Gear comes back with a new game, but I don't know if that will happen. As I said before, Metal Gear Solid 4, Guns of the Patriots, and whoops, and that one I kind of class as like the black sheep of the family. There are some PSP weird Metal Gear games as well, but I've never really played them, so I can't. Other than Peace Walker, I can't speak for. I think they're card games, I believe, but I've never played them. I've never owned a PSP. But this game, well, obviously a lot of fans were disappointed. You only play Snake for the first sort of tanker part, and then you play as Raiden for the rest of it. But the subsistent version that you can play, I believe, as Snake through the whole game. I don't believe it's canon, as far as I'm aware, but it's an interesting idea. I mean, how many copies of Metal Gear do I really need at this point? It's a slight bit of insanity there, but I guess we'll see. But so between the two versions, I'm going to veer more for the original. But because it's more of a challenge because of the control scheme and the camera perspectives. But that is, as I said, that's kind of like the Resident Evil 4. It's the most accessible way to play Metal Gear if, again, the price was sensible and it came on like the Legacy Volume 2 collection, which I'm still crossing my fingers it will. But that would be, what, Peace Walker, Metal Gear Solid 4, Guns of the Patriots. So they could have space for Twin Snakes if there's no legal issues with Nintendo, unless they do a Volume 2 and it comes to Nintendo Switch 2 as well, which was announced a few months back. So it's very, very interesting. I've played through that once. I'm playing through that at the moment on the Legacy Collection because I want to keep that in as tip-top condition as I can because the discs are immaculate on it. But it's good to see Konami back. I've also got the Silent Hill 2 remake, which I've yet to finish. The Cowabunga Collection, as well as another one. And I picked up Resident Evil 2 Remake and Resident Evil 4 Remake, which I'll probably show off in... Did I not even... I didn't think I showed it off in that video, actually, saying that. No, I don't. So I guess we'll see. But Metal Gear Solid, man, it's a fantastic series. If you're into it, you're into stealth, give it a chance. It really is tremendously good. And as you can see, this is the original Metal Gear Solid. It's just iconic. The story's mental, particularly Metal Gear Solid 4. Some of it, if I'm honest, doesn't make a great deal of sense at times, but it's so much fun. The bosses in particularly the original games, although my favorite boss has got to be the old man from Snake Eater, the end. There's so many ways you can approach that battle, that boss battle. As I said before, you can change if you. Well, my clock doesn't work on my PS2, unfortunately, so I've got to replace it at some point. But you can change the time and put it forward hours, and he dies of old age, or you can. There's so many ways of battling him. But as the original games, the only bit of the game I hate in the original game, and I think it's in Twin Snakes as well, is the sniper wolf fight. I don't hate, but I hate the fact you have to run all the way back to get the sniper rifle. It's really. I remember as a teenager being really miffed by that, but it's one of those things, and it's challenging to some degree. But most of the bosses in the original Metal Gear Solid are awesome. Hind fight, Vulcan Raven, obviously the liquid fight, the torture part where you have to submit and you get Otacon, you save, and Meryl dies. And if you don't submit, you save Meryl, and somehow Otacon gets out another way. I think the Meryl ending is the canon ending, if I'm remembering correctly. But there's just so much to talk about with the original Metal Gear Solid. The amount of dialogue in the game as well. I'd say the one that's the most over top is Guns of the Patriots. Just because, I mean, it's like a 20-minute cutscene for the first bit of the game, and with obviously Metal Gear Solid 4, you get to come back to Shadow Moses on the last mission, or no, second to last act of the game, I think it is, which is really awesome because it does like flashbacks to the PS1 graphics and stuff. But they're an excellent series, they really are. Konami were kind of the enemy number one for a while because of the stuff they did with Kojima, and a lot of pretty bad stuff went on. And the very last Metal Gear Solid game that came out was a what the hell was it called? It was like based on it was running on the same engine as Phantom Pain. That's the other one I haven't got. I've got it digitally on Steam, and a very, very decent game, but I don't know if it had aspects that were very Metal Gearish, but the fact that David Hayter wasn't in it was like a big sort of like big shocker for me. I was like, oh, that's kind of weird. He is Snake. As much as it was cool to see, is it Kiefer Sutherland as Big Boss? Even though spoilers, it isn't actually Big Boss. It's like a clone of him. But that game's unfinished. It never will be finished as far as I'm aware. So very weird. But yeah, between the two games, I'm still going to veer towards the original game. Although Twin Snakes is more accessible, obviously on barring price to entry, if you can stomach the price of it. Because I mean they are both collectible, but obviously I think that is the more collectible. Nintendo stuff always holds its value so much more than the original. So if you're really into stealth and you really enjoy it, I would try that. It's well, I think it's worth the money, but it's very dependent on what your finances are and stuff. Retro collecting is very, very expensive these days, depending on what you're collecting for. And the only other version I can think of with Metal Gear that is quite unique is the 3DS version of Snake Eater, which I believe is, again, that's like a £50 upwards game. And from what I've seen, the frame rate is pretty rough on it. But again, it's another experience, and it's in 3D. So, anyway, I think I'll leave it there. I think I've droned on enough about the Metal Gear series. As I said before, hopefully we will see Metal Gear Solid, or Metal Gear and Metal Gear 2. Maybe ground up remakes would be kind of cool to see, to finish the story of Big Boss. And hell, maybe even show us a game where Snake, Liquid, and is it Solidus, the main sort of villain protagonist of 2? We actually see them born, created, and see Big Boss or Naked Snake go kind of off the rails and become sort of like the Darth Vader character of the Metal Gear series, where he starts as basically the I guess you could say the good guy or the apprentice sort of character, and then becomes the big evil. But there's a lot of parallels in some ways between Metal Gear and Star Wars. But yeah. Anyway, I will leave it there. Metal Gear Solid, awesome series. Play them all if you can. And if you can get trophies or achievements, although I'd be curious to see whether Switch, like Nintendo, can do any kind of achievement system. Play them all because they're all brilliant. The stories are mad and crazy, and they're so memorable. Mental stories, but memorable. Anyway, I hope this has been enjoyable, and see you in the next one.